Welcome to the Southern California BMW Motorrad podcast.
Bayerische Motorenwerke.
Here you'll find everything about the greatest riding region in the world on the greatest motorbikes in the world.
It's like Oktoberfest all year long.
Yes!
Gelände, Straße.
Whether you love street riding, touring, enduro, dirt riding or just heading out, you're welcome here.
That's the thing, how can you say the word Straße playful?
Our bikes may originate in Bavaria, but our hearts are here in Southern California.
This is better than Neuschwanstein Castle.
I didn't know BMW even made cars, until I passed one. So suit up, strap your helmet on and let's ride. And now your host, Jim Foreman.
Liebchen, Jim is very hip.
And thanks for that. Welcome to the Southern California BMW Motorrad podcast presented by Irv Seaver BMW in Orange, California. And it is my great pleasure to be sharing the mic this time with Gary Mraz. How you doing, Gary?
I'm good, Jim. It's really good to be here. It's good to see you.
Cool. It's great to see you, too. and after all this time, we finally made it happen. We got some great stuff to talk about. You know, if you don't know the name, you have absolutely read some of the many articles that Gary has written. You've been writing for...
well, let's see. Baggers Magazine, American Rider, American Trike, American Iron. Did you remember American Rider?
I don't. But
It was Buzz Bizzelli started that magazine. It was Kelly. It was a great magazine. It got sort of soaked up to Rider magazine. Now it's just Rider.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But,
wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
It's,
all right.
So I go way back. Yes, I've been writing tour stories, travel stories for decades. Let's leave it at
Well,
that.
you're one of those guys that people like me absolutely get so jealous and envious of because you get to go out, you're given a bike by the manufacturers and told, hey, why don't you go out for a couple weeks, here's a credit card, go out and write a story for us, and you get to do that. You get paid to go out and ride these bikes on these great trails and have a great time and leave people like me reading about this going, God, I wish I had that life.
Everybody hates me. You're not the only one.
I don't hate you.
No. What happens is I'll roll into a dealership and they'll say, you know what? We work in these dealerships because we love bikes,
right?
But we don't get to ride them because we have to work. We only get a couple days a week. But you're absolutely right. In fact, oddly enough, I was invited to go to China. That was last year.
Right.
There were 17 journalists invited worldwide. I was the only American, and HDC, Harley-Davidson China, had invited me to participate in the third annual Hog Rally.
Right.
Shanghai.
Mm-hmm.
So I did. I flew in there, and I was the only journalist that rode a motorcycle.
How awesome is that?
Well, I think it was because I didn't know how dangerous it was. Everyone else took cars, they rented cars, but I ended up riding 1,700 miles with these Shanghainese. It was awesome. Through rural China, it was just amazing.
Now, this brings us full circle because Jim Rice is our mutual friend, and that's
exactly
how I know you is through Jim Rice. And
that's
Jim
right.
was a co-host on a previous episode. And so, Jim, how you doing? I hope your new position is going well. And I know when you hear this on your flight, you'll be thinking about us. So there you go. We're thinking about you.
Absolutely, and it was actually Jim that sort of engaged me into that. I mean, Jim is he is an amazing character.
He sure is. Yeah.
All those riders there are amazing. It was really an adventure of a lifetime. So having said that, you're right. I mean, I got to really travel and really experience, and it ended up being a 2-part series in Baggers Magazine. And in fact, if anybody wants to read this series, just go to baggersmag.com and type in China, and you'll see both of my stories.
No kidding.
Right there.
They were awesome stories. I mean, it doesn't really matter what brand of bike you were on. It's the experience of riding in the area that really made it.
Well, and let's toss in that it was a Harley Davidson.
Sure.
I mean, we're talking, these roads. I have a whole new respect for Harley Davidson.
Sure.
Let me tell you. I mean, dual sport, I might even consider a Harley as a dual sport. Half the time we weren't on roads. I mean, roads end and they turn into dirt roads. It was crazy over there. And I thought this bike was going to fall apart, but quite honestly, I was shocked.
Well, you know what? I know of a gentleman who rode his Road King down to Tierra del Fuego and stayed off the highway most of the time. A Road King,
Exactly.
that thing was on its side more than it's on its, but he kept persevering and had a great time doing it. And there's no reason why. I mean, just because you see a dirt road doesn't mean you have to just go, get scared and turn around and run away.
And that's a good point. Really, a bike is a bike. 2 wheels,
That's right.
You'd be amazed what you can do on almost anything if you got the guts.
Now, not only are you a magazine writer, but you're actually an author, too. Author of this great book that's just recently available called Midnight Rider on a Graveyard Run, Tales of a Midnight Rider. Writer, W-R-I-T-E-R. Little play on words there. The author is listed as Mraz, K-O-Z-M-R-A-Z, as opposed to Gary Mraz. But still, it's a combination of a lot of your articles that you've written and then expanded out a little bit and put into an actual chapter book form, correct?
Yeah, well, how this really all started, it goes back to an article I wrote for Baggers Magazine in April of 2011. I rode the Easy Rider route from LA to New Orleans.
I want to do that. I'm actually...
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah, and I'm going to do that.
It was awesome because I got this idea, but I ended up... There's 2 actresses, Katie Sackhoff and Tricia Helfer.
Yeah.
They're TV stars, and they did this run. They were doing a charity run for Hurricane Katrina, and they were going from LA to New Orleans. And I thought, and I know them, and they were riding BMWs, and I said, I want.
Tricia's a big GS girl.
She's a big GS girl, exactly. Yeah. And so I thought, I've been dying to do this run. So I rode with them for about 5 days. It was a 7-day run, just one way.
Yeah.
But we did a lot of night riding, and
awesome.
we also, we were riding Highway 40, and so that whole trip sort of it triggered this whole Midnight Rider on a Graveyard Run. I learned about the corridor of death. I learned about and I was intrigued with these people who work the graveyard shift, truckers who drive all night long. I thought, my God, there's a whole world here that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
So I got back from that.
It's like a counterculture.
It's totally
everybody
counterculture.
Sleeps, man. There's still
absolutely. And there's the 3 million truckers that drive long haul truckers and graveyard shift workers and so I started to do some research. So that's what Midnight Rider on a Graveyard Run is. It was inspired by my run with the girls.
Bummer. Okay, you get to hang out with 2 incredibly fit, very, very good riding actresses who are very capable riders in their own right.
Tricia was Miss Playboy. She was a Playboy
and you
model,
had to be stuck with her for 7 days.
It was
the things you do to go through. The suffering,
the pain and suffering I have to go through
to bring these stories to
exactly.
life. I mean, really, I'm going to have a drink to that right now.
It was awesome. The girls are awesome, and in fact, they actually had a film crew that tagged along with them for that trip. So if you go their website, they're called the Acting Outlaws.
Oh, cool. Okay,
so,
Acting Outlaws.
Acting Outlaws. So if you go to actingoutlaws.com, you'll find Trish and Katie, and they have their movie that they did, the documentary of that trip we took on is there. So you download it. I think they only charge like $5 or $6 for it. It's awesome. Yeah. I'm like in 3 or 4 segments because we tagged along.
Yeah, you were there. Yeah, totally.
So it's a great trip and it's a lot of fun. I mean the girls were awesome. We hit a hailstorm in New Mexico, and Trish and Katie they have intercoms.
Right.
And Trish was talking to Katie's. Trish was saying, "Look, we need to pull over. This is they're getting hit by hail. This hurts."
Yeah.
And Katie says to Trish, "Pull over where, Trisha? Look around. We're in the desert. Keep moving. Keep fracking moving." Wow, it was awesome.
Wow, yeah, that's true. It's not like you carry a pop-up tent where you can just set it up, put the bikes underneath. Yeah, you literally are in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
you've got nothing. Yeah,
you got nothing. Right.
Wow.
So we had some great times, and they're amazing riders, and they have a bunch of other rides planned. It's really you should pay attention to them. The Acting Outlaws, they're real riders, and they're just great.
They're the real
people.
deal. Yeah,
They're
a lot of fun too. They make
a lot of fun. Katie Sackhoff.
Well, we'll talk a lot more about that in your book as well, but also some of the cool stories and anecdotes and whatnot. A little as we continue on with this show, but again, I'm already having a great time, and I hope you listening do too. And Alf, you especially out there in the air, this is for you, my friend. We're making this one, just a little dedication to you. So there you go. I'm sure I'll get an email from you shortly. No, he's a cool guy. You know what? So many pilots listen to this podcast because a lot of them are motorcyclists, and while you're up in the air, they're looking for something to do and to take up those 15-hour transatlantic flights, and so I hear from so many pilots and so many transatlantic travelers that have emailed me.
Sure, that makes sense.
And have said, you know what, this is great. When are you doing the next one? Sorry it's taken so long, but here you go.
Well, now is I didn't realize that. I mean, I'm hearing this for the first time from you, but do you know who Will Barkley is?
No.
Will Barkley is a Gulfstream pilot,
Okay.
but Will Barkley won Hoka Hey twice.
Okay.
If you happen to be listening, because Will's in my book, Midnight Rider on a
Okay.
Great Ride Run. I interview Will, and I'll talk about that as
So
we
we'll
get
make
into
sure
this.
Will knows specifically.
I will absolutely. He'll get it because he helped me. He helped me give some tips on how to ride all night long. He rode from the Florida Keys to Homer, Alaska in 192 hours.
No way.
And only 10 hours his wheels weren't turning.
Wow. Okay.
So and he's a jet pilot. This is what he does for a living.
Yeah, I get it. Gary, you've just released this book on Amazon, as well as other outlets, I believe, but certainly on Amazon. Once again, it's called Midnight Rider on a Graveyard Run, Tales of the Midnight Rider. The author is listed as your sort of pseudonym, Mraz, but where did the name Cos come from?
Cos comes from, actually, it's from high school, Cosmo. People call me Cosmo. I don't know if I should tell you where I got why they call me Cosmo.
Right. Well,
back in the 70s, it was
Okay.
a kind of a wild and woolly time. And,
Yeah.
And we all liked little trips into space. But regardless.
Okay, I get it. Okay. So it's Koz instead of C, but Cos Mraz. And that's generally the pseudonym you use for your writing, your magazine writing.
Yeah. I'll go Gary Cos Mraz or Cos Mraz just because
It works.
It works. Yeah. Thank you. It works.
Right on. Well, this book has just come out. It's gotten some excellent reviews. My copy is sitting in my mailbox at home, and I've read some of the stories that have made up this book from your online postings.
Yeah, exactly. What it started as a blog post. I'm the editor for BikerNet Trikes, Keith Ball's BikerNet, and so on BikerNet Baggers, which is another Keith has BikerNet Baggers, BikerNet Trikes, and actually Women Rider Now is on there too. Genevieve's site.
Nice.
It's very diverse site of all. If you're anything two wheels, we've got something for you there.
Nice. Okay.
So just you can check out bikernet.com. But so I started this blog post, and as I said earlier in the show, I took this trip from L.A. to New Orleans. I followed the Easy Rider route for 7 days, and I we did a lot of night riding, not with the girls. Actually, I rode with a friend of mine, Heath Cofrin, and we did a lot of night riding. And we'd ride with truck stops, and I sort of was really intrigued by this counterculture, this graveyard workers, this sort of thing. So that was the stimulus for this book. And so I had this idea of actually the entire concept would be to just follow truckers, to ride, do a graveyard run. And, if you're a trucker, you have to follow the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration rules and regs. You can drive 11 hours. You can only drive 60 hours in 70 days, and you can only drive 11 hours within each one of those days. They're very strict.
Within a 24-hour period, yeah.
Within a 24-hour period.
Got it.
So I was going to follow all these rules and regs, and I was going to ride only at night on a motorcycle.
Got it.
I mean, I wasn't going to do any daytime riding at all. I only start at 9 at night and stop at
6 in the morning. Yeah, 7 in the morning. Yeah. Okay, got it.
So I started this whole. I said, okay, I'm going to do this. So I thought, wow, this is. How do you prepare for this? I mean, what do you do? I mean. So I
bundle up, I guess, layers,
Well, there's a ton of things, and the first thing was I contacted Will Barkley, and I interviewed Will for some other stories, and so he was kind of my coach. What do you do? So I've got in the beginning of the book it talks about the 10 tips, of being a midnight rider, lighting up your ride, the clothing you wear, just from basic. One of the things he did was when he started his trip. He had the little tiny LED flashlights. Yeah. He had 15 of them attached to every zipper that he had. He said at the end of his ride, he had one left.
No kidding.
So, in other words, he every time you stop for gas, anytime you need to look at a map.
There it was. Yeah.
There it was, and then there it wasn't. Yeah. He got another one.
Wow.
So
it's a little cheap $2,
Exactly. He can't tell you how many times that saved his life.
No
just
kidding.
being on the road at night all that time.
That's a great idea.
So I've got a bunch of tips from Will on that, and so I kind of absorbed his information. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do this.
Got it.
So just kind of to practice for it. I mean, I live in Long Beach, so I'd make midnight runs down to San Diego, out to Palm Springs. Like I just kind of do this, kind of reset my time clock, and all that stuff. So I did. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. Basically, I'm on a Victory cross-country tour, heated seats, heated grips, totally comfortable riding.
Massage, coffee maker.
Hot coffee. Your absolute coffee cup is critical. I mean, come on. So it was all that, and I loved it.
It is a good bike. It is a very good bike, and it's a spectacular interstate burner. Let me tell you.
Awesome. I'm pushing 225 to 230. Pretty much every time between every fill up, and it's critical. You got to know. Got to know your space. Got to know where you're going to fill up, how it's going to happen.
That's right. Yeah. There's some stretches, 60 miles between fill-ups.
There's
you got to plan
some,
it. Yeah.
Well, Texas. There's some 100-mile stretches. Some things happen out there. It's pretty crazy. So I did that, but part of my story was that I'm only going to stop at truck stops. I'm only going to stop. I'm following where the truckers go.
Okay.
I'm riding with the truckers.
Nice. Okay.
Oh, and also I got a CB.
That's awesome.
Smokey. Breaker. Oh, we got a Smokey up ahead. Slowing down. No, dude,
That's cool.
Those guys save your life. It's like,
yeah, they do.
I'm hearing them chatter. I'm on the road. Yeah. I'm hearing them chatter, and I'm like, 'cause somebody told me this. Said you better, if you're going to ride at night with truckers, you better hear what's going on because they know what's happening.
Yeah.
And so I got engaged with these truckers because my story is really about the truckers. It's about graveyard people.
That is
it's about so. Another part of the story is about when I rode Highway 40 with Easy Rider, and actually that story's if you can find it on Baggers, go to baggersmag.com. But it's called Easy WRITER.
Okay.
Easy Rider, just like I monikered the Tales of the Midnight Rider.
Okay.
Because so when I went on that ride, I realized I heard about the corridor of death. So the corridor, and this is real stuff. This is the real stuff, folks. I mean, you can just Google search this, right now. Corridor of death was in 2009. The feds put together a task force because 500 women were within this series of several years were found murdered all along Highway 40. And their bodies were dumped at hotels, at truck stops, off the road. And they're what truckers call lot lizards. They're prostitutes.
Right.
So
they go from rest stop to rest stop,
they specifically work one. So basically, the feds got involved because they're being picked up in Florida, murdered in another state, and dumped in
another state.
Yeah. And so they put this task force together, and they realized that it was truckers. And I'm not saying truckers are the murderers. What they've realized was that if you're a serial killer, the occupation of being a trucker is the perfect cover. Because you have nobody monitoring you.
Right.
You're on your own, and you're traveling these huge distances. And once they figured that, and this is 2009, it's only a couple of years ago.
Right.
They really put together this task force to find out, okay, who are these people? And they've so far, I believe there's been about 10 long-haul truckers that were arrested and several indicted for some of the murders.
Wow. Okay.
So you've got these serial killers who are taking on this occupation because it's the perfect cover.
Wow.
So
they didn't start off as truckers and became serial killers. They were serial killers that decided to get jobs as truckers to feed their passion,
their madness. And so the thing is, the truckers actually protect the lot lizards. Okay. So you've got this weird dynamic going on at these truck stops. I mean, a truck stop. Some of the truck stops in Texas. They'll do a sweep where they'll try to sweep all the prostitutes and they'll arrest 800 to 1,000 prostitutes. I mean, you can't imagine because you got 5,000 trucks coming through a night.
Right.
So you got this enormous business thing that's going on.
Right.
It's just unbelievable the magnitude of this whole thing. And so that was part of my story was finding out. Okay, what's really happening here? And do people? Because quite honestly, I never heard about the corridor of death. I mean, have you heard about it?
This is the first I've heard of it.
Okay, so we're talking. This is
fascinating. This is amazing.
This is unsolved mysteries, man.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like should be on the news.
Yeah.
It's like, are you kidding me? So, and I heard about it from truckers on my trip. Like I say, on the Easy Rider. And the Easy Rider.
Okay.
So I started doing this thing. I started trying to meet these truckers. I started delving and get into this graveyard lifestyle, like this counterculture.
Yeah. Embed yourself, essentially.
I embedded myself. Exactly. And so but what happens too is that, I'm riding 600-700 miles every night.
Right.
Every night, and it's really intense. And when you end up in these truck stops, it's not like anybody wants to talk to you.
No, because they've been doing the same thing.
Not only they've been doing the same thing, I'm an intruder. I'm rolling on a motorcycle. I'm not in a big rig.
Right.
It's like, so I'm working against all odds here.
Sure.
Nothing is in my favor.
Yeah. At least you're not wearing like a police outfit.
Uniform. I'd probably better if I was.
Perhaps.
Because I'm even more suspicious. Right. I'm even more suspicious. What the hell is this guy doing here? Who is this guy?
I get it. Yeah.
So so the book basically is about the people I meet. I mean, I met a truck.
It's fascinating. This is cool.
Dude, I met this truck stop preacher. He's got a trailer out here, and you roll into the truck stop, and he's out blessing the big rigs.
No kidding.
And he does services nightly because look, truckers don't. It's not like they
don't go to Sunday.
They don't have Sunday mass.
Yeah, I get it.
They don't get any of that stuff.
Wow.
They're on the road. They're away from their families. So he's conducting these services. It's like this whole scene that's happening under there. It's it was just really, really mind-boggling.
Fascinating. I mean, it makes me want to go out and do something like this.
Well, I don't. Here's why you shouldn't, Jim.
Okay.
let me tell you why you shouldn't.
All right.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How many people do you think went missing in America last year? How many missings were there last year in the U.S.?
I have no idea.
Give me a number.
30,000.
Okay, 30,000. 800,000 people. You Google search it right now, folks. Just go to missings in America last year. It's almost 1 million people go missing every year in America.
Wow.
Okay, all right, fine. Let's say even half of those are found. Okay, I mean,
great. Okay, yeah, good.
That's still 500,000 people
That's a lot
go
of people.
missing, and those are the ones reported missing. Okay, now and remember, I'm talking to lot lizards and prostitutes. They're saying, imagine the ones that are unreported,
hobos,
unreported.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Yeah. It's like, oh my God. So now all of a sudden,
You're making all these people who don't live in the U.S. think this is like a free for all. Like if they come here to visit, they're going to be murdered. They're going to be murdered. Some roadside, tourist attraction, dude, dinosaurs.
I'm not talking anything you can't Google search right now. Okay, this is facts, baby.
Wow.
These are facts.
Okay.
This is what's freaky. Okay, and when was look? You said 30,000.
Yeah.
Well, did you have any clue that many people are missing?
No, I had no clue.
Well, how come we don't know this? What's going on?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, are you kidding me? Anyhow, so I'm learning all this stuff. I'm meeting these people. It's like it's the truck stop preacher. See, here's the deal. I asked him. I said, so tell me about the corridor of death. You're out here. He goes. Look, I don't know anything about the corridor of death. I never hear truckers talk about it, but they do talk about the missings. Because that's what I hear about.
Huh.
So now that started a whole nother trigger. It's like, really? So now and then it's like, oh my God.
Got it.
So finally, and I end up. I've been writing for 6 days. I never make it to Florida. That was my goal, was to make it to Florida. Whether I just but I wanted to follow the 7-day rules and regs.
Okay.
So I turn around and I head up to. I head up North Texas to head back on Highway 40.
Okay.
I took the 10, the route across, and I took Highway 40 coming back.
Okay.
The corridor of
so
death.
10 eastbound.
10 eastbound, just straight ahead, 40
Got it.
westbound. Yeah, because that was my route.
I get it.
So I end up in Oklahoma City, Highway 40 up there.
Was it so pretty?
Dude, I don't know. It's nighttime.
That's true.
Don't you understand? I don't see anything.
That's
Look,
true.
I don't know if you
It could have been spectacular. It could have been ugly.
All
and
you
may
see-
have been spared the indignity of
all you see is a tunnel of light 40 feet ahead.
Wow.
At 90 miles an hour. I mean, think about this. You think your adrenaline's going just regularly.
Yeah.
If anything's in your way, you never have a chance. You are just moving through this tunnel of blackness. It's nothing like...
It's interesting. Now, I was actually traveling on Highway 40, and this was actually, it was cold. It was about 30 degrees outside, which means if you're going 85, 90 miles an hour, it's about -7
Exactly,
degrees wind chill and all that. This is Fahrenheit now, not Celsius, but not only that, there was a sign on the side of the road that says "Watch for elk," and after I passed the first dead elk on the side of the road, I'm on my motorbike. I'm thinking to myself, "Oh, that's odd. You don't see that every day." By the time I passed the second one and freezing, literally at this point, I can't control the shivering. I said, screw it, and so I pulled into Seligman and got a little hotel and wound up going to a cafe and talking up a storm and making friends, a group of people from China, Romania, and whatever, this group of people, of which, I had great conversations with all of them, and then, just wound up just sleeping it out.
Well, that was a wise move.
Yeah.
A move that I didn't really have on my radar because, I had my routes planned where I was going to stop, and there's a lot of empty terrain in between.
Right.
So finally I end up in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and I end up at a truck stop, and that was my destination. And I'm finally there. I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm fried. I can't even think anymore at this point.
We've all been there. I get it. Yeah.
And I walk into a bar, get myself a beer, and I see one of the most stunning women I've ever seen in my life. And it's in this really we're talking smoke-filled dive places, like freaky, scary. But that's become standard fare at this point,
right?
And
that's high class.
Exactly. So I meet this woman. Well, she's a prostitute, but she's the madam.
Okay.
She's sort of in charge of.
Yeah.
So I meet her. She tells me she knows who's abducting these people and who's killing the women in the corridor of death.
No kidding.
I stop my story there. I stay with her for 2 days, and everything changes. So look, everything. My book. The thing is, I call it faction, because everything I tell you, I was there. I know
it happened.
It happened to me. Okay,
Yeah.
I can tell you this stuff.
Got it.
But the people that I meet and what they tell me,
Yeah.
I can't really prove anything they say.
Right.
So even her name, Lizette, I call her Lizette. I changed her name because
You just don't want to mess.
She
was gracious enough.
She's gracious to give me information.
Yeah.
She said, anything you say, you can't say who I am, because really I'm risking my life telling you what I'm telling you because
Right.
because people go missing.
Yeah.
It's like I'll be missing.
Yeah.
So that's mid part of the story. All of a sudden, it sort of turns into her story, and I hear what's happening, what's going on, and we engage, and I talk to her this day. And in fact, this is a trilogy. In other words, this book has become. I have another one coming out, which is a follow up to this one, which
Okay.
she's very much part of. It really, this thing spins just out of control.
Wow. So if you're looking for a gripping, adventure, a motorcycle riding adventure that isn't just a typical, we rode for 20 minutes, we drank for 2 hours, we rode for 20 minutes, we drank for... It's not like that. It sounds like this is actually one of those unique adventures that whether you're in Europe, whether you're in Australia, or here in the U.S., or anywhere, I mean, you could identify with this, because no matter where you go, there are truckers going back and forth, sending all the goods that we rely on a daily basis. And this is how this is part of the subculture.
Well,
that goes with it.
beyond that, this is an unsolved mysteries.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a thriller. I mean, this is
Right.
a real life unsolved
I get it.
mysteries. It's just so, and this is not what I had gotten into.
No.
I didn't really decide.
You were
Okay,
just-
this is what I'm going to do.
I get it.
I'm gonna become a midnight rider on a graveyard run.
Now, you're going to release this. This book is available right now as a paperback, but it's also available on a Kindle, correct?
Yeah,
Through
it's Amazon. Just type in Midnight Rider on a Graveyard Run, or Gary Mraz. Actually, I think Cos Mraz shows up too. For some reason, my name is well known. But regardless,
But you're recording this as an audiobook.
I am going to record this in audiobook because I, as a writer, and a lot of people actually suggested that they'd like to listen to it, while you're plane people, you're fly.
Well, for example, I drive long distance. I would ride it, but it's literally so boring and so wasted that I wind up driving it more often than not. But I'll do 6-hour drives like nobody's business, and I'm listening to audiobooks and podcasts like crazy myself. And so I'm extremely well read like that, but I can't sit there and flip through pages of a book in my car while I'm on this rather boring highway. But I can listen to audiobooks, and that's why it's one of those things that I feel very strongly about. Again, pilots, same thing. They can't be flipping books up there, but they could, as they're sitting there with their iPods or iPhones, and they're just sitting there, playing audiobooks and podcasts like crazy, and so that's why I think that this type of thing would be just awesome in that kind of format. As even just people sitting out on the beach, man, just getting some suntan going. If you have a book in front of you, that creates a shadow. You don't want a funky tan.
Totally. No, it's awesome, and that's exactly. I'm gonna do a audiobook. You're right. It's Kindle. There's a Kindle download, Kindle, and then a paperback, which I like. I like
totally.
having a book too. So.
I'm a book guy too, personally. Yeah. I think it's great. The Kindle's great. But for me, I just want paper. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and
you can set it down and not worry that it's going to get stolen.
Well, and then you can share it.
Yeah, exactly.
You kind of hand it to somebody, say, "Hey, check this out." It's awesome. So I started this as a blog post. As we back to the beginning.
Got it.
Did 20 episodes on a blog post. My readers said, we want this all together.
This is great, yeah.
We want this. So I came out with the book, and so I'm going to be doing readings at bookstores and a bunch of other things.
So you might be able to catch you at one of these places.
Yeah, you can. Just
okay.
You can.
If you're the guy murdering people, you don't have to come.
That's right. Please stay away, please.
We like you and it's all good, but
no, we don't like you and stay away.
Yeah, please, whatever.
No, it's really it's a deep rabbit hole, and so, but I haven't stopped. This is
an ongoing project.
This is an ongoing project with the same characters. It's pretty amazing. I'm fully vested. So
this is cool. This is amazing. This is such a unique angle that I just never really thought.
Well,
of
either did I until I got in it. It's the same thing. You don't know until you jump into the fire, and that's the beauty of really being an adventurer or being a writer, being in what we go on our travels, good, bad, or indifferent. Some things happen, in many ways. I do get paid for this mostly. Yes,
wow.
Yeah. But you know what? This I never would have imagined, and this is something that this is self-published, by the way.
Okay.
So it's I work with Keith at BikerNet. He helps me market it. But,
sure.
But it's self-published. In other words, as writers, and I'm also telling you as writers out there that if you have stories, you have things you do. There's ways to spread that and to tell the world and spread it.
And share, that's
share
the nice thing too. Is nowadays you don't have to be published by HarperCollins.
No.
You don't have to be published by Scholastic. I mean, there are Simon & Schuster. I mean, there are avenues now, and thank goodness for Amazon. Thank goodness for companies like that will embrace the independent writer and enable them to enjoy some of the fruits of that labor
and share the story.
Yeah,
because
of course.
Everything I just told you had never heard of half of this.
I haven't. This is fantastic.
Neither had I.
Fascinating.
So who's going to tell the story? Tell the story.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. This is awesome. Well, you know what? I could tell you that in my mailbox at home, I have a copy of this, and I can't wait to come pick it up and start flipping through it. And I guarantee this will be read. I mean, it's not that thick. You could read this fairly quickly.
Yeah, and that is another thing I did. I mean, it's only 75 pages. I mean,
okay.
It's a real easy read. But like I said, there's 3 parts of it. So this is part 1. So it's a real easy read. You get through it. I think it's like $6.95 on Amazon. I mean, I didn't want to make this like, I got to spend $15
just
and
get
$10.
This book. Just get it.
You just get it, right? Yeah. You just read it. You go,
this
wow.
Fantastic. You know what? This is really cool. Midnight Rider on a Graveyard Run. Tales of a Midnight Writer. Someone who writes.
By Mraz.
I like it. Gary, thanks so much for sharing this. Thanks so much for spending time with me, talking about all this cool stuff, talking bikes. I know we're planning on doing some riding in the near future.
We absolutely
really
are.
Looking forward to that. I mean, this is going to be awesome. I mean, thank you very much. Guys listening, it's not going to take as long to do the next podcast. I'm already working on getting those interviews and getting everybody lined up. So please, thank you for your patience. thank you so much for being a part of it. I wanted to just give a very, very warm and sincere thank you to all the people who helped make this one possible. I wanted to say first, to Sharif Masood over at ADV Rentals, Kevin Foster, Dave Townsend from Irv Seaver Motorcycles, and of course you, Gary. Thank you so much just for taking time out of your evening and sharing just some of this incredible experience and joy of both writing and writing that you have with us. And any last thoughts or any last plugs you want to give out before we conclude?
Well, the old saying is it's the ride that's the reward.
That's right. It doesn't matter what the ride is; it's the ride.
It's the ride that's the reward.
Yeah.
And stuff happens, good, bad, or indifferent. But if you don't, we're motorcyclists.
That's right.
We don't watch the passing parade. Damn it, we are the passing parade.
That's right. That's right.
And we actually do ride off into the sunset. So
yes,
there you go. We actually do.
We do. On that note, have a great night, or a great day, or whatever this winds up being for you. It won't take as long for the next one. We'll talk to you real soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.